We head over to the Boardwalk Honda Hotline now, talk some baseball. NBC Sports Radio, Seth Everett, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. He joins me now as the Phillies win last night. Aaron Nola with a gem, but the Phillies kind of up and down. And Seth, as we talk Phillies a lot to start off our conversations, I guess, we're finding out that this team is just kind of what it is. It's going to be an up and down kind of season. This is a team that's got a lot of holes. They got some talent, young talent, but I wouldn't say that this team is going to excite a lot of people, it seems like, yet again this summer.
No, but I saw somebody ask me on Twitter about the Phillies, and all I said was, are you going to tune in to any of the 3 games against Washington? Probably. I'm interested.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? There's relevance.
Yeah.
We're not talking about – I don't want to start proclaiming them as a contender. I'm not going to start proclaiming them as even a team that's in it. But think about this. They are in a mix where you have Atlanta that's been, they won 4 in a row. The Mets got out to that super hot start, and Washington, for all of their struggles, is only a game under 500. That's fun. They're going to play each other a lot. Like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
And God bless the Marlins, who will lose them 100 games. But, man, there's about 6 or 7 teams that are going to lose 100 games.
But beat the Phillies 2 out of 3 this week, which is, look, you just mentioned the Braves. I wanted to get into them with you. First time in first place by themselves since 2014. They have the 3 youngest players in baseball, and they have 8 of the top 100 prospects in baseball. This Braves team might be a year ahead of schedule and growing.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch them and check them out and see – for myself, but the fact is they're facing good players, and I like their manager Brian Snitker, and they've been very, very interesting. That's the best way to describe it. I don't have delusions of grandeur and to say I'm not making them out to be something they're not, but they're interesting. And they built that new ballpark, and they were trying to get good for that new ballpark. Well, guess what? Relevant games. That's all I'm asking for.
They are. Let me ask you about this. You mentioned relevant games, and are you going to watch the Phillies? Flipping through, you're watching the NBA playoffs, you're watching these hockey games, and then you put a baseball game on. Do you look at that as baseball has an issue?
How little you know about me.
Maybe you're watching the hockey game first and the basketball second and the baseball third. I do know a little bit about you, but
what channel's that NBA crap on?
I'm watching the Phillies the other night. I'm flipping back and forth, and I'm just saying, man, I saw somebody tweet, going back and forth between the hockey and basketball, and the baseball's like putting a funeral parlor on the Vegas Strip. And I said, you know what?
That's fun.
That's something that maybe, I think people think it, but, is it a real issue for or the baseball people don't care?
What could be the issue? It's sports. It's great. I think it's a good time, and the NBA and the NHL playoffs are always at this time of year. And what I always ask those sports to have is compelling. I think the hockey playoffs have been good. I thought last year was more compelling, but that's what happens when the Flyers and Devils are in it. And then the NBA playoffs, I'll give them a lot of credit. They've had a really great season, and their playoffs have been compelling. Between the Cavs series and the fact that Curry wasn't playing for Golden State, but they're still in it, and then you throw in the Sixers angle and how good can they be? The Celtics are beat up. It just give me drama. That's all I was asking for.
Yeah.
I didn't want last year. You cannot disagree that the last 3 years the NBA playoffs were irrelevant. That you did not have anything compelling until the finals.
True.
At least now, tell me that the second round is at least holding my attention. That's a great accomplishment for basketball, because for the kings of marketing and the kings of social media and the kings of the GIF, whatever you call it, then all I ask is for the games to be better.
And that's one thing with baseball.
I'll give the Sixers a lot of credit because they've been part of that resurgence.
That's one thing with baseball is no matter how good the best team is, you feel that it's wide open.
Well, drama. Baseball sells drama better than anybody. That's what it is. And the fact that, on August 15th, I always say that in baseball's best years, and this was kind of pretty much like 2005, it was like August 15th, and I would look through the scoreboard, and I would say, how many of these games are involving relevant teams? And sometimes it was 11 out of 15. Like, that's pretty impressive. I don't know that they're going to have that number this year. Baseball's got other problems. They have more strikeouts than hits right now.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that you're talking about a game there. If you can have a dramatic difference, the schedule is conducive to that because you play so many interdivisional games. The AL Central, the NL Central, the NL East, the AL West. Those are all divisions that are very, very compelling.
Seth Everett, NBC Sports. I saw. I can't believe this. That Albert Pujols is 2 hits away from 3,000. We almost forget how great of a player he was in St. Louis. When you think of Albert Pujols, what's the story?
The story is that here's a guy who had his best offensive numbers in the heart of the steroid era. There were all kinds of rumors. He was a guy who became a face of a team. You talk about a face of a sport. He was an ambassador for the sport. There was so much that he meant to the sport. He goes out and signs with the most irrelevant franchise in the sport, and a team that in a grouping of second bananas in major cities, the Angels are the worst. Even the Oakland A's have more relevance in the marketplace than the Angels. The Angels have the best player in the league in Mike Trout that nobody knows about. They have this Japanese phenom, and everybody knows about him, and they still don't realize that Trout and Pujols are on the team. It's amazing to me what the Angels have become. The problem is, and you can lop Ryan Howard into this, without being accusatory, these guys, when the testing program really got put in place, all of a sudden couldn't get on the baseball field. And a lot of people, as history tells you, steroids weren't to hit home runs. Steroids were to stay healthy.
Right, keep you on the field.
And when all of a sudden these guys couldn't get on the field, and that's Pujols. And that's a shame because not only has he played all the stereotypes, the Latin player who signs a big contract based on past success and then never lives up to that contract. We've seen it time and time again. And for Pujols to come out and be irrelevant for a guy that was literally an ambassador for the sport is mind-numbing to me. Is he a Hall of Famer? He has to be. Those numbers are incredible, but he's not a top anything.
Last one, real fast. Jake Arrieta, Lance Lynn, Alex Cobb. Do you need spring training?
Well, I've always said spring training is irrelevant. And I love, my favorite response to that is, one of my favorite stories is in the winter, how many yokels come out and say, God, I can't wait for pitchers and catchers. Pitchers and catchers. Then pitchers and catchers come out and they go, wow, that's just guys playing catch. Can I get some real games?
Right.
Okay, get me some real games. And then they go, oh, those games don't even count. Can I get real games? Like, it's just it's the never-ending hope of the future, and that's what spring training is. But, man, I've covered this sport for 24 years. The only memories I have of spring training, none of them are on a baseball field.
Same here. I've been down there for 12 straight years. I love it. Seth Everett, always appreciate it, pal.
You got it, man.